Thank you for tuning in to my video podcast. My name is Caitlin Peterson. In 2025, as a nation, we collectively have witnessed and lived through a massive technological boom. Technology in the US has taken some huge leaps forward. A lot of this progress comes from advances in things like artificial intelligence, faster internet, and more powerful computers. Key concepts include things like Starlink and generative AI interfaces used commercially by companies like Google, Safari, and Apple. In this podcast, I will explore how artificial intelligence, or AI, is impacting students with disabilities at CSUS. To better understand the real-life implications, I conducted interviews with Navkar Najar, or Navi, a student in the English department with first-hand experience navigating disability and academic life. I also interviewed Dr. Alexander Sidorkin, Chief AI Officer at Sacramento State, who brings an educational and institutional perspective. Alongside these interviews, I will analyze sources that examine the intersection of AI accessibility and these education fields. These include discussions on human rights and disability in the context of AI, the use of generative AI to support struggling writers, and how AI tools can directly assist individuals. Together, these perspectives will help paint a fuller picture of the challenges and opportunities AI presents to students with disabilities today. I had a few questions today. I do know that you're the Chief AI Director for the AI Institute at Sac State.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
One of my first questions today is going to be, how is Sac State currently integrating AI to support students with disabilities here at Sac State?
Well, there is a lot of interest, and Mary Lee Vance, who is the director of the Center for Access, and I had several conversations. Some accommodations that include AI, for example, students with disabilities can get a free license of Otter AI. Otter is like a recording device, but also it can summarize transcripts, and you can ask questions of the transcripts of conversations. So quite a few students use Otter AI. If they take an online course, they would record sessions they have in their accommodation letter, a request to allow them to record class discussion. So once they record it, then they can actually talk to it. Instead of just reading the whole transcript, they can ask specific questions using AI tools. And you also should know that Sac State is right now in deep financial emergency. So they actually discontinuing support for the National Institute on AI and Society that I had. And that includes my position as well. I'll be coming back to faculty next fall.
Thank you for that useful and significant information. Another question I had was, in the future, do you think that AI can enhance classroom accommodations for students?
Yes, I think the biggest item that's being discussed is the using of AI for writing. There is a whole group of students that have either dyslexia or there's a number of other cognitive conditions that prevent them from fluently writing. And of course, AI can do part of that writing. It can improve your grammar, your style. I'm not aware of yet specifically allowing students to use AI for writing, which I suggested that could be actually a great accommodation. Right now, we're relying on instructors' discretion, and instructors, unfortunately, not all of them have understanding of how AI works. There's a lot of prejudice. Some people think it's cheating. So in the perfect world, we should be allowing all students with disabilities and without disabilities to use AI to write.
I've seen a lot of bias, both in the English department and with my peers as well. And that does lead me into another question of mine. A few of my peers with disabilities fear that AI will make it harder to compete with students who are using AI to get better grades. So they're being left with feelings of inferiority. How would you suggest students who feel this way address their fear of AI at CSUS?
Students have power, and one of them would be to organize and to lobby the office DAS, Disability Access Service, and tell them, look, you have to include that on your letters as an accommodation. I needs to be some pressure from students and organize and tell them, look, you have to do that. Maybe sign a collective letter or something like that. Because AI can serve as a leveling device, because you would be competing at the level of ideas, not on the knowledge of procedural mechanical things. And I think students with disability deserve that support, and everybody else as well. And you're right now, when faculty prohibit students to use it, some still do and others don't. So if you allow everyone to use AI, then you would be leveling playing field. Use of AI for writing is actually, it's not one thing, there are many different things. At least 12 different ways of you can use AI, from brainstorming and giving feedback on your ideas, to helping to organize the structure of the paper, to maybe writing out certain paragraphs, to editing, to copy editing. All of this could be done with AI. So yeah, I think you definitely individually you can argue with instructors and said, look, I need this accommodation.
Thank you. And another question I had to kind of wrap up that our interview would be, what were some accomplishments and challenges you faced as the director of the AI Institute during your time?
Well, the one challenge I already mentioned, the university doesn't have any money to support it. So they're actually closing down the institute. But, while I was doing it, we created a bunch of resources for faculty. We had many meetings, many training sessions with faculty members and students to help them to learn how to use AI productively. Those resources will be useful for a long time.
Well, thank you again so much for meeting with me and for the permission to record this video. I do hope you have a wonderful day.
Good luck with your project. Sounds like fun.
Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you.
I am going to be interviewing Navkar Najjar. She is here with me today.
Hi, my name is Navkar Najjar. You can call me Navi.
Navi, I've got a few questions for you about AI for my podcast about how AI has impacted the lives of those with disabilities. Are there any concerns that you have about AI creating new barriers for students with disabilities?
Yes, there are. For example, when students are using text to speech or something that might help them with their coursework, the software that we use sometimes does not actively pick up on what it is that we're trying to say accurately, especially if you have a stutter. Sometimes I stutter, and so that can cause issues, especially when we're in the classroom and we're using text to speech or recording. For example, when the instructor, obviously with the instructor's permission, and trying to have that transcript created for what is being said in class, so that way later on we can go back and study it.
Yeah, so it doesn't get transcribed essentially?
Yes.
How do you feel about the role of AI in grading, writing assistance, or academic integrity in relation to students with disabilities?
It should be allowed to be used, because sometimes certain people with certain different disabilities have different needs, and as long as it's you talk to your instructor and you're very clear about what it is you're doing and everything like that, it should be allowed to help the student, or mobility or something, right? They should be able to kind of use ChatGPT or something to kind of formulate their hypothesis or ideas, and then be able to take that and turn it into their own thing. It should be used as more of a tool to help guide our learning. For people with disabilities in particular, they should have access to these to ChatGPT or AI or Grammarly or whatever, and have it used as a guide to help them. And I think a lot of people with also disabilities, they try to use it as a way to help guide them in a world that is very much geared towards neurotypical people. I don't personally use AI at all. I'm very much scared of it, so I don't use it.
Let's get into that. What fears are imposed by the use of artificial intelligence in academic spaces for you?
So the big fear is how like instructors use because I've heard some instructors will run it through a chat GPT or something, like they'll run like an essay through it, or be like, this is very AI coded, or it'll like go when like we submit things and turn it in, it might tell the instructor, oh, this is very AI coded. I don't want an instructor seeing my essay and being like, this is very AI. Like, that's a big fear I have.
What role do you think AI should play in education for students with disabilities? And not just ChatGPT. We're thinking assisted technology, bionic tech used for people with disabilities, with mobility issues, or cognitive or verbal communication issues.
I think in those instances, those people with those disabilities and any like person who feels like, hey, this is something that can help me in my education journey, in terms of them using it for their own benefit, for them to gain a better understanding and a better knowledge of the material, they should be able to use it. Because again, when you have a disability, any type of disability, physical, mental, anything like that, there are active barriers that are hindering your education that you're fighting against. It's 10 times harder for somebody who has a disability, like mentally, physically, to get an education. So AI should be used and can be used to help those people kind of make the playing field even.
What are your fears or concerns about artificial intelligence in your future career? And what is that career?
So my future career that I want to go into is becoming a professor. So I guess,
what major?
For English.
Okay.
Yeah, I want to become an English professor, hopefully in literature, like, Shakespeare and things like that. So I guess my main issue will be like, when I get to that point and stuff, it's going to be like the same issues that I guess majority of professors are having right now, where it's like, is this essay, created by artificial intelligence, or is this something that the student has created themselves? Which is why I think we need to destigmatize artificial intelligence in a way, right?
Yeah.
So instead of having it like that, like have there be stages of learning of where the student is using like ChatGPT or something maybe to brainstorm, obviously under the guidance of a professor. Yeah. Have there be like that destigmatization, it be destigmatized to like where like the professor and the student are working together to make sure that the essays are the creation of the student and it is an authentic piece that the student's voice is shining through. And I become an instructor, it's probably going to be even at a greater risk of students doing something like that with how fast AI, it's expanding and evolving.
Yeah.
Is going at a very fast pace.
Well, that concludes our interview. Thank you so much, Nav Kurnajar. I wish you a lot of luck in the rest of your ventures as an English major. In my research of how AI will impact students with disabilities at CSUS, I have found a noteworthy paper and article that provides a scientific framework to concerns and hopes at hand. In Francisco Jose Bariffi's article titled Artificial Intelligence, Human Rights, and Disability, Bariffi links how AI developers' designs must adhere to obligations held under the Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities, or CRPD, and how these tools, if developed with inclusivity in mind, can be used for tutoring, grading, and accessibility technology like smart devices, biotech, and recording or transcription devices. He emphasizes how diversity and inclusion must have a voice when keeping artificial intelligence in mind, and his research provides a helpful outline to what can be expected on CSUS soil. This article leaves me with final thoughts I would like to share with all of you. After the interviews conducted and research laid out, I hope there can be less stigma revolving around the idea of artificial intelligence research and application, both online and in person at Sacramento State. And I hope that students will find confidence in the coming years when smart devices will carry applications that encourage the educational success both with written communications, advanced research, and community belonging on a collegiate level. Thank you for watching.